What's going on, everybody? This is Hot Rod, and this is the Hard Knocks Madden NFL 17 roster breakdown. You've been teased the past couple weeks with the top 5 players at each position, and now the full ratings have come out for each NFL team, and we've had the chance to dissect our rosters a little bit, and I'm here to break down each NFL roster from quarterback to punter, and just give you guys an idea of what I kind of see from each team, the guys that are obvious starters on your team and guys that you might want to end up replacing. And so we're going to get things started with the Chicago Bears. Once again, we see Jay Cutler at the top of the depth chart for Madden 17. He has great throw power, once again, which is no surprise at 97. And despite what Martellus Bennett might think of him as being the worst quarterback in the NFL, the guys who did the ratings certainly don't share that sentiment and gave him pretty adequate short and medium accuracies at 85 and 84. His deep accuracy is pretty average, but should be good enough to get you through the first season, maybe the first couple seasons. At running back, the situation is a little more bleak. You don't really have any standout guys. Jeremy Langford, as far as top rating, overall rating, is the top of your depth chart, but there's no ratings that really stand out about him. There's nothing that he really does anything great. 91 speed is nice to have, but other than that, he doesn't look to be that great of a running back. So that might be a position that you look to upgrade in the offseason, whether it's through free agency or through the draft. And that also shows through the fullback, Paul Lasik, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. There's not much to say other than he's not good. 66 overall, not a good run blocker. This might be something that you end up upgrading in preseason. I wouldn't suggest starting the season with this guy as your lead blocker because he's pretty terrible. Wide receiver shows a little more promise as we see Alshon Jeffrey topping the depth chart at 91 overall. He has great route running, 95 route running, 97 catching traffic, 98 spectacular catch, and he's going to be pretty dominant. This is a guy that you shouldn't worry about, and make sure you re-sign him in that first offseason. You also have Eddie Royal, who should be a pretty good guy in the slot. He also has pretty solid route running ability at 82. He's not a guy that can take a lot of hits over the middle with 77 catching traffic, but he's certainly good enough to be in your 3 wide receiver sets. And then you have Kevin White, your young guy who was out all last season, but now his ratings might have been a little higher had he played in the season, but he's still a guy that you should be able to develop pretty easily. He already has the size and speed at 93 speed. 88 catch is also great to have, considering he hasn't played it down in the NFL. And 74 route running, you're going to want to look to upgrade that, but that shouldn't take you long. Bennett is now gone, so Zach Miller is going to lead the way at tight end. 73 route running is pretty solid, not great, but couple that with his 84 speed, he should be a decent threat at tight end. You also have Tony Moyaki as your number 2 tight end, also 73 route running, not as athletic, but should be solid for the first season. Then we get to offensive line, where Kyle Long is your best offensive lineman at 79 overall. A very strong run blocker with 87 run block, but pass blocks at 78. You're going to want to work on that immediately. Other than that, there's nothing really that great about this O-line. It's pretty weak. There's pretty much nobody else that you really look at as a guy who's going to stay on your roster for a long time. So this is definitely a position that's going to need to be addressed immediately. At defensive line, it's led the way by Akeem Hicks and Eddie Goldman at left end and defensive tackle, respectively. They have a solid pass rushing power move, but their block shed is pretty middle of the road. Other than that, your defensive linemen are pretty suspect. This is going to be another position that you need to address, either by way of converting an outside linebacker to defensive end, or trying to find somebody in the short term in free agency in the preseason. At outside linebacker, you have Pernell McPhee, who is a top 5 outside linebacker at 92 overall. He's great block shed at 94 and 97 power move, so you shouldn't have to worry about him against the run or versus the pass. He's gonna put in some work. We also have the rookie Leonard Floyd. Not great coming out the gate, which is to be expected, but he's definitely a guy that you want to address his development immediately, because he has a skill set that he can become a dominant player pretty quickly. He already has 82 finesse move, 86 pursuit. You just got to work on that play recognition, because otherwise he's not really going to make too many plays against the run. So you want to look at that and his block shed. But between those two guys, you also have Lamar Houston. You have a pretty solid depth chart at outside linebacker. Then at middle linebacker, you have Jarrell Freeman and Danny Trevathan, who should be your starters. Both very solid against the run. Well, Freeman is solid against the run with his 89 block shed and 88 play recognition. Trevathan might get caught up in traffic here and there, but he also has great play recognition and 94 pursuit, so he should be a very solid player. But the thing that stands out about those two guys is their zone coverage. Both zone coverage over 80 and over. Freeman at 80, Trevathan at 87, so they should be very good players in your zone and zone defense schemes. So that is something to be happy about if you're a Bears user. Then here I was being positive, and then we get to the cornerbacks, and this is another situation that is not too good right now. You have Kyle Fuller, who's a decent cornerback with 83 zone coverage. His man coverage is pretty weak, but that might be something that you can work on fairly easily. He's still young, so he should develop a little bit. However, you also have guys like Tracy Porter, who's pretty much unusable right now. I wouldn't even bother with him with that 66 zone coverage. You might probably be better suited starting Brandon Boykin as your second cornerback, or maybe trying to make a trade or find somebody in free agency. But this situation isn't that great. DeAndre Hall is another guy that you want to look at, but you're definitely going to have to work on his play recognition, because he's not going to be quick as far as reacting to pass plays as it is right now. At safety, your lone bright spot is Adrian Amos, who's 23 years old and has pretty good athleticism with 93 speed, 92 acceleration. Also got 73 strength, so he's a guy that you definitely want to develop. He has the skill set, especially with 80 zone coverage, 73 man coverage. This is a guy that can be a long-term starter for you. But the rest of that depth chart at safety, whether it's free safety or strong safety, is not good at all. And that's a spot that you want to address immediately, I would think. Brzezinski might be solid, at least for season 1. You can't really expect him to make that many plays, but he could probably get you through the season. But your strong safety position is definitely one that you're gonna have to find a starter. And then wrapping things up with your punter and your kicker, nothing to worry about here. They have pretty good kick power, same 86 kick accuracy, so they should be all right for you right now. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford is at quarterback for the Lions once again. 28 years old, 85 overall. That great 98 throw power. Also has very good short, medium, and deep accuracies, especially considering his production the last few seasons, the quality of his play. The ratings guys were pretty generous to him. He's still a fairly accurate quarterback, so nothing to worry about there. Running back, you have Theo Riddick and Amir Abdullah leading the way. You'll probably be looking to play Abdullah although Theo Riddick has great receiving ability out of the backfield. 85 route running is, I believe, one of the tops among running backs in the receiving department. So you definitely want to utilize them in that fashion in your offense. Other than that, there's nobody else on the roster that really is going to stand out, or guys that might, crack your starting lineup. You have a solid fullback in Michael Burton, 76 run block. So, he's a guy that, you don't have to worry about there, especially with his 81 speed. He might be a guy that you want to, try to hit in play actions or, outlets in the flat out of the backfield. Calvin Johnson has gone from the top of your depth chart, Detroit Lions users, but you still have a solid group to get you through season 1. Golden Tate leads the way this year as your number 1 wide receiver. Solid speed, 90 speed, 91 route running, which is excellent. 89 catch in traffic, 895 elusiveness, which is going to be good after the catch. And then just reliable hands, 93 catch. Your number 2 wide receiver at Marvin Jones, 82 overall, 88 speed, which is, solid for a possession wide receiver. He also has 84 route running, 90 spectacular catch, 88 catch. So he's going to be a solid number 2 wide receiver. And then you have Anquan Bolden, who's still around, but, you might have to use him kind of like the Cardinals use Larry Fitzgerald, and kind of almost a tight end type usage with Anquan Bolden. Keep him inside in the inside slot. He's not going to do too much on the outside, so you're going to have to find ways to get some decent matchups for him, because he's not going to run past anybody. At tight end, you have Eric Ebron, who has kind of yet to develop, but he still has that raw athleticism that you like out of tight ends. A lot of people like out of tight ends, 86 speed, 88 acceleration. You're going to have to develop his catching, his route running. He's not a good run blocker, so you might struggle to run anywhere near Eric Ebron. You still have Brandon Pettigrew, not a great route runner. He's more of a kind of short route guy. And then you have Timothy Wright as well. You might want to use the combination of Ebron and Wright if you feel like Pettigrew isn't going to be that effective, especially given that he's 31. So he might not be on your team much longer anyways. On your offensive line, you have 3 solid offensive linemen in Riley Reif, Jeff Schwartz, and Taylor Decker. All 3 of those guys are very solid run blockers and, pretty decent pass blockers. So they should be, pretty good in your offense. So kind of surprised that Laken Tomlinson is rated pretty low. His run blocking leaves much to be desired, and is, has average pass blocking. So their draft pick from a season or 2 ago hasn't been rewarded that well in Madden. So you have a couple spots that you might want to address. You have some guys with, still some solid ratings that you might be able to plug in there at center and left guard. But you're still going to have to do something with those 2 spots pretty soon. Your defensive line, they're going to be solid, rushing the passer, led by Ezekiel Ansah and Haloti Ngata. Both are, pretty strong pass rushers. However, your defense is a little bit limited in the way of run defense. You only have a few guys with over 80 block shed, with your highest guy being Ansah. Even Haloti Ngata is only at 79 there, so you might struggle defending the run with this group. Your outside linebackers are very good. DeAndre Levy, very good outside linebacker, 90 play recognition, 96 tackle, Not the best at shedding blocks, but should be able to be around the ball pretty frequently. Also has 77 zone coverage. You also have Tahir Whitehead, who's also very good at 83 overall, 83 speed, 88 acceleration, 85 block shed, which is you want to have something like that with your 4-3 guys. Also has 76 zone coverage. So those two guys should be very good in your defense. However, you have a major hole at middle linebacker, John Bostic and Xavier Gooden. They have decent speed, but neither of those guys are going to be very good being in the middle of your defense. They both have low play recognition, don't shed blocks well, and also aren't great tacklers. So that's a position that's going to need to be addressed in your first offseason. At cornerback, you have Darius Slay, great cornerback, 90 overall. He's a top 10 cornerback, 92 man and zone coverage, 93 speed. I mean, this guy is legit. So your number one cornerback situation is pretty damn good. However, after that, the rest of your depth chart is a little suspect. Quandre Diggs should be solid as a number 2, depending on your scheme. But you want to develop him, especially his man coverage and his play recognition. And then the rest of your guys, those aren't guys that you probably want to keep around for too long. Your safeties, Glover Quinn and Raphael Bush are solid, but they're getting up there in age. So in a season or two, you're going to want to look at that and look to upgrade there. The rest of your guys is not really anybody that, I really see as somebody that you might want to develop for the long term. Possibly Miles Killebrew, but, you might end up finding a guy, whether it's in the draft or free agency, that you can plug in there as your new starter. And then that kicker and punter, Matt Prater, very big leg, 96 kick power, 88 kick accuracy, and Sam Martin also the same 2 ratings at punter. So solid guys there for your special teams. Overall, the Lions have some solid pieces, but definitely need some work. But this can definitely be a competitive team for Madden 17 in your first season. Next up is the Green Bay Packers. You already know what it is at quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, he's 32, but he's the best quarterback in the game. 98 throw power, all the way there at the top at throw power. And 90s in short, medium, and deep accuracy. There's absolutely nothing to really say negative about Aaron Rodgers. He's still going to be able to put up numbers for you. You shouldn't have to worry too much about your passing game with him under center. At running back, you have the newly slim Eddie Lacy. They didn't give him a huge speed bump, but 87 speed, 88 truck, 82 strength. He should be a strong power runner for you in that offense. He's also a decent receiver at 73 route running, so he might be able to do some work in the passing game as well. James Starks, a little slower, but similar receiving skills. Doesn't really do anything else that great. Down the line, you might want to find another guy to be a change of pace guy behind Eddie Lacy. John Kuhn is gone at fullback, so now you have Aaron Ripkowski, decent run blocker, solid speed. So obviously a downgrade from Kuhn, but should be solid in that offense, and you're probably not going to be running from like an I formation too often with Aaron Rodgers. You probably want to air it out with those wide receivers. Speaking of the wide receivers, we have Jordy Nelson, top of your depth chart, 88 speed, so he's no longer that burner deep threat, but where he lacks in speed, he has the reliable hands, 96 catch, 94 spectacular catch, 93 catch in traffic, 95 route running, 91 release. This guy's still going to be able to get open and get open often for you. Randall Cobb is your number 2 wide receiver, 86 overall, 92 speed, 93 acceleration, also 97 agility. Not as reliable hands, still 85, which is solid. But he has that 93 elusiveness, 90 catch in traffic, 87 route running. So, I mean, there's nothing to complain about there. He's great athletic wide receiver, should be able to stretch your defense, and is going to be able to do some work after the catch and also in special teams. Other than that, you got guys like Devontae Adams and Jeff Janis that might be able to contribute pretty well in their offense. However, you're going to want to develop that route running rating for both of those guys. Jared Cook is your new acquisition at tight end. He brings that 86 speed, 91 acceleration. So he's something that the Packers have lacked at tight end. He's not a great route runner, but still has 85 spectacular catch and also a great run blocker with 79 run block. You also have Richard Rodgers, who is also a solid tight end in his own right. Not as athletic, but also just still a solid receiver, especially that 83 catch in traffic and 75 route. So they could be a good combo in your 2 tight end sets. Your offensive line is strong, led by T.J. Lane and Josh Sitton, both excellent in both run blocking and pass blocking. You also got guys like Corey Linsley, David Bakhtiari, though Bakhtiari is kind of weak in the running blocking department. But overall, you have a strong offensive line group and even some guys that provide some depth that you can develop and that could maybe take a starting spot in a season or two. Your defensive line, you have Mike Daniels at 92 overall, very good 3-4 right end. Detone Jones, he's still a young guy, so you can still develop him, especially you want to work on that block shedding to help you against the run. But 84 finesse move, he'll be able to provide some solid pass rush in your nickel defense. And then you have a big hole that was left by the retirement of B.J. Raji. Kenny Clark and LaTroy Guion aren't really guys that will do too much from the nose tackle position. So you're going to want to find a guy to develop there or, draft or find in free agency. At your outside linebackers, you have Clay Matthews and Julius Peppers as your starters, I guess, at the top of your depth chart. Peppers is getting pretty old there at 36. Doesn't have any athleticism. Still, pretty good pass rusher with 90 finesse move. But both Matthews and Peppers are going to struggle a little bit against the run. They don't shed blocks very well, but they still have pretty good play recognition. Nick Perry is another guy that you want to look at on your roster. He's your third highest outside linebacker at 81 overall, but he also has very good athleticism, 85 speed, 88 acceleration. Is also as solid against the run with that 84 block shed. Just need to increase that play recognition and work on that power move, 81 power move. So he definitely has the tools to be a starter fairly soon in that defense. Then you have middle linebackers. Sam Barrington, I guess, will be your starter. Not very speedy. Solid zone coverage, 79 zone coverage. So you might want to look at maybe Jake Ryan or Joe Thomas. Both have a little bit more speed at middle linebacker. Either way, one of those guys in that group, you got to increase their play recognition in their block shedding, or else they're going to kind of get caught up in space. Your cornerback position is led by Sam Shields at 86 overall. Great cover guy, 87 man coverage, 85 zone coverage, 88 play recognition. So, he's going to be very good as your number 1 cornerback. You also have Demarius Randall and Quentin Rollins. Both guys pretty young at 24 years old. Solid man coverage. You're going to want to work on that zone coverage. However, they're pretty solid press corners. They have good hands, 73 and 77 catch respectively. So, if they get their hands on the ball, they're most likely going to pull it in. But you still want to increase their play recognition so they can be effective in your defense. And then your last line of defense, your safeties, you have three solid safeties in Morgan Burnett, Clinton Dix, and Micah Hyde. All three guys, you're probably going to want to find a way to get them on the field together. So you can be creative on defense with three talented guys there. There's a lot of teams that wish they had that kind of depth at safety. And then you have Mason Crosby and Tim Mastay as your kicker and punter. Crosby, solid as they come as at kicker, 93 kick power, 89 kick accuracy. Mastay doesn't have a big booming leg, so, you might end up finding a new punter. But overall, Packers, obviously one of the top teams in the NFL, and then one of the top teams in Madden. So this is a team that, anybody should be able to contend with season one, and you still have some young pieces down the line that should make your team strong for many seasons. Our last team in the NFC North is the Minnesota Vikings. At quarterback, we have Teddy Bridgewater, and I didn't even know he was only 23 years old. So, he still has a lot of room to grow and develop in Madden. 81 overall, 82 speed, the 90 throw power. He also has very solid short and medium accuracies. 88 and 87. You can't, be too disappointed in that. His deep ball isn't that great, but something that you can develop pretty easily, I believe. At running back, obviously, Adrian Peterson, been there for about a decade now, so no surprise. He's still as good as they come at running back. 91 overall, 92 speed, 88 strength, one of the strongest running backs in Madden. He also has 93 truck, 91 elusiveness. This guy's just a straight up beast. There's no other way to describe it. You also have Jerick McKinnon, who is a little bit of a change of pace, though he's not too different as far as speed and acceleration than Adrian Peterson. Surprised that his route running is as low as it is. So, he might not be but just a runner for you. He might not be able to do too much else in the offense. And then at your fullback, you have Zach Line. Not that great of a blocker. It seems like he's more of a kind of a receiving fullback. So, you might want to upgrade that position, especially when you have Adrian Peterson as your running back. You want to make sure that you have, a great lead blocker for him to, open up some of those holes. At wide receiver, you have plenty of youth. Stephon Diggs, who kind of broke out on the scene, is your number one wide receiver, 79 overall, 90 speed, 92 acceleration, but he has that 87 catch, 81 route running. So, you up that route running, up that catching traffic, he's going to be, a great wide receiver for you. The Vikings also drafted Laquan Treadwell, so, he'll probably be your number 2 wide receiver to start the season. 88 speed, 94 jump. He's going to be a great possession guy, a great big guy that, be able to box out some of those smaller cornerbacks. He just needs that work in his route running, but he has that catching traffic already at 86, so he's going to be a solid possession guy for you. And then we have Jarius Wright, who's should be a solid slot guy for you slot aficionados. He should be good for you. 79 route running, so just want to increase that a little bit, but 81 catching traffic. He should be a solid slot guy for you. The rest of you guys, the disappointing Cordero Patterson, his route running has just gone down year after year after year. So, he might not be a guy that you can get to the point where he's going to be a big contributor, though he has, the physical tools. Kyle Rudolph is your top tight end at 81 overall. Not really feeling his ratings. I don't think he's really a long-term solution for you at tight end. No real athleticism, 77 speed. He has solid hands, but 73 route running, 79 catching traffic. He's just okay, but, it's not a strong run blocker, so you might want to end up finding a tight end. Michael Pruitt is a guy that you probably want to develop. He does have that athleticism with the 86 speed, 87 acceleration. If you develop that route running and make him a more formidable run blocker, he could be, a starter pretty quickly in Madden, maybe a season or two, and you can put him in there and have a tight end that can last the duration of your franchise. Your offensive line, very solid. John Sullivan, Joe Berger, Alex Boone. You have pretty good guys there. Matt Khalil, also solid. Mike Harris, not Brandon Fusco, Willie Beavers. I mean, you have guys that can come in and play for you. Some positions even too deep. So this is a pretty good group. Sullivan is definitely Sullivan and Berger, a good combination there. Both centers, but you could probably plug one of those guys at guard and get pretty good push for AP. Your defensive line has two really good defensive tackles in Linval Joseph and Sharif Floyd. They should be very good for you. I think Floyd is still pretty young. Joseph is hitting his 30s, but still a very good defensive tackle. You also have Everson Griffin and Brian Robinson as your defensive ends. Danielle Hunter, also a solid defensive end that you want to develop and might even crack the starting lineup sooner than later. Anthony Barr is your standout at outside linebacker. Other than Barr, there's really nothing much else to say about the outside linebackers, but man, Barr, 88 speed, 80 play recognition, 86 block shed, 90 power move. I mean, this guy can do it all. Even with that 85 zone coverage, he's just a straight up beast at 24 years old. So he's going to be a guy that's going to be on your team for the whole franchise. I mean, I wouldn't trade him or get rid of him at all. Eric Kendricks is your starting middle linebacker. He's definitely going to need some work in the zone coverage department as well as your block shedding, but he still has that those physical tools, that 85 speed and 90 acceleration that makes him a very good middle linebacker for Madden. Like I said, just want to up that play recognition if you're a guy that doesn't use the middle linebacker, or else he's not going to be as effective as you would like him to be. At cornerback, you have the ancient Terrence Newman and Xavier Rhodes, who are tied for your top cornerbacks. Mackenzie Alexander, the draft pick out of Clemson, also in there, who's a solid guy, solid young guy. So you have Rhodes and Alexander as two pretty solid young guys at cornerback. But after Newman probably inevitably retires, you're going to want to address that position. These other guys are pretty one-dimensional. Good zone coverage guys. Trey Waynes, you definitely can develop him into a solid cornerback, but more likely than not, you're gonna need a third guy with solid coverage skills to make your defense effective. Then at safety, you have Harrison Smith, who is one of the top free safeties. You also have Michael Griffin, who you might want to plug in there as your other safety. You might want to put Harrison Smith as your strong safety, especially considering he's a pretty good block shed, 73 block shed, pretty good tackler. So he might be a better fit for a strong safety and putting somebody like Griffin at free safety. But you also have another solid guy, and Anton Exum Jr., who can take his place as your third safety if need be. And then lastly, you have Blair Walsh, your kicker, good leg at 94 kick power, solid accuracy at 86, and then Jeff Locke, who is just kind of your average punter. But overall, I believe that the Packers and the Vikings both have two very, very good teams, and starting out the gate, those two teams will probably be fighting for the NFC North crown. So that's it for the NFC North. Stay tuned for the rest of the roster breakdowns for the rest of the divisions in Madden 17.